All right, in this section, we're really quickly going to talk about the change range node. And this guy can actually be pretty useful for manipulating data in your shader network. It's essentially the same thing if you're familiar with the Espresso range mapper. It's very similar to that in that it's going to give us an input minimum and maximum and an output minimum and maximum. So in this scene, I've just quickly thrown a cube into a cloner, and I am pulling the integer user data of MoGraph object ID, and I've piped that into the selector of a shader switch, which is just switching between 5 different colors right now. So basically what we're getting from Redshift is an integer for each object, starting at 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that is corresponding with the colors that are showing up dependent on that integer. So if we go and plug our handy dandy change range in between the integer user data and the shader switch. Initially you're going to see it break because it's saying, first we're saying clamp to new range, which is going to clamp our values based off of the new range min and the new range max. So right now the lowest that our integers can go is 0, and the highest that they can go is 1. Now if I were to untick clamp to new range, you're going to see that all of our integers come back because it's no longer clamping to these new range min and new range max values. So everything just stays the same. If our old and new values are precisely the same, then nothing is going to change. So for example, if I hit old range max to 2 and new range max to 2, we're going to see exactly the same output. Whereas if I switch old range max down to 1, effectively that's going to double each one of our values. So 0 is 0. 0 would be 0, 1 would be 2, which we can see is our green color here. 2 would be 4, which we can see is our pink color here. 3 would be 6, which is white, and if we just go ahead and change this guy to like a yellow, we'll see that that updates with yellow, and 4 would be 8. So I'm just going to make this a gray. You can see that that completely updates as well. Whereas if I go and clamp, it's going to clamp between 0 and 2. So essentially this guy just allows me to remap these values however I'd like based off of inputs and outputs. The same thing goes for vector. As well as color. So let's say, for example, we wanted to take these values as a gradient rather than picking them with a switch. We could say, okay, I know that my first, the index of my first clone is 0, the index of my last clone is 4. Now let's take a ramp, plug it into my change range, and set it to alt. Now we've said, okay, our input range min is 0, our input range max is 4. Let's squish that down to 0 from 0 to 1 instead of 0 to 4. So then all these values are between 0 and 1, and then I throw them through a ramp. And if we look out at the surface, we'll see a gradient from black to white, or any other value that I put in here, maybe green to red. All right, thanks for checking out the change range section. We'll see you in the next one.